morning. Today we hear words passed down through generations from the book of Ezekiel. Let us listen to these words of the Spirit. As I looked, a stormy wind came out of the north, a great cloud with brightness around it and fire flashing forth continually, and in the middle of the fire, something like gleaming amber. In the middle of it was something like 4 living creatures. This was their appearance. They were of human form. Each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands. And the 4 had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another. Each of them moved straight ahead without turning as they moved. As for the appearance of their faces, the 4 had the face of a human being, the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left side, and the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. Their wings were spread out above. Each creature had 2 wings, each of which touched the wing of another, while 2 covered their bodies. Each moved straight ahead. Wherever the Spirit would go, they went, without turning as they went. In the middle of the living creatures, there was something that looked like burning coals of fire, like torches moving to and fro among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and lightning issued from the fire. The living creatures darted to and fro like a flash of lightning. As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the earth beside the living creatures, one for each of the 4 of them. As for the appearance of the wheels and their construction, their appearance was like the gleaming of beryl, and the 4 had the same form, their construction being something like a wheel within a wheel. When they moved in any of the 4 directions without veering as they moved. Their rims were tall and awesome, for the rims of all 4 were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, the wheels moved beside them, and when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose. Wherever the Spirit would go, they went, and the wheels rose along with them, for a living spirit was in the wheels. When they moved, the others moved. When they stopped, the others stopped. And when they rose from the earth, the wheels rose along with them, for a living spirit was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures there was something like a dome, shining like crystal, spread out above their heads. Under the dome their wings were stretched out straight, one toward another, and each of the creatures had 2 wings covering its body. When they moved, I heard the sound of their wings like the sound of mighty waters, like the thunder of the Almighty, a sound of tumult like the sound of an army. When they stopped, they let down their wings. And there came a voice from above the dome over their heads. When they stopped, they let down their wings. And above the dome over their heads, there was something like a throne, in appearance like sapphire, and seated above the likeness of the throne was something that seemed like a human form. Upward from what appeared like the loins, I saw something like gleaming amber, something that looked like fire enclosed all around. And downward from what looked like the loins, I saw something that looked like fire, and there was a splendor all around. Like the bow in a cloud on a rainy day, such was the appearance of the splendor all around. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard the voice of someone speaking. Hear what the Spirit is saying. Thanks be to God.
I knew we could make it through that long passage together. Look at you all. No one left. Wonderful. In 1517, on October the 31st, Martin Luther, a Catholic priest, had an epiphany of his own, where he thought that the church was not going in the right direction. So, being of good German blood, He wrote 95 theses to let folks know where the church was falling short and where it should be going next. One of those things on that list that he nailed to the church door was that the people should be able to read the Bible. So for it to be translated into the native tongue of Germans was incredibly important. Fast forward 500 years, we get to read the Bible whenever we want, or not read the Bible whenever we want. And so when we come across passages like this, we have to ask ourselves, why are we allowed to read this? Shouldn't this be put away somewhere that only priests and pastors should read? Well, within the Bible, there are fantastic stories about objects and unknown things that when we come across them, we might not know what the heck is going on. So during this sermon series that we're calling Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, we are taking a look at some of these fantastic creatures, trying to decide why these were put into this Bible, what we can learn from them, and allow us to ask questions about where God is within our lives today. So within this passage that Kelly has read for us this morning, there is a lot to unpack, so please walk with me in this story. First off, let's talk about Ezekiel. Ezekiel was a prophet, or we don't know that he's a prophet just yet because this is in the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel. He is a prophet, which means he talks directly to God. That does not mean that God is giving him the lottery numbers. It's not giving him Super Bowl picks. It is not telling him what to do as far as how to get ahead in the future. He is talking to Ezekiel. God is talking to Ezekiel so that the people might hear that God is still at work. Give them confidence in who they are so that they can remain a community. You see, because at this point in time, the Israelite people are in solitude. They've been cast out of their land. They are living in Babylon. They've been living here for a long time now, and they haven't heard God's voice at all. Are you with me, folks? They haven't heard God's voice in a long time because their temple, their place of worship, their place of community has been destroyed. They've been forced to live in exile away from their homeland because of war, and they've been pushed out because of it. Does this sound familiar? And because there is no central place for people to come together, there is no central place for people to worship God like that they are used to and they would like to, they are in disarray. And they wonder, where is God? So in this first chapter of Ezekiel, God's messenger approaches Ezekiel. And God's messenger looks like this. There are 4 beings with 4 faces on them. A face of an ox, a face of a lion, a face of an eagle, and a regular person's face. When this messenger walks in front of them, they are always facing forward. Tell me how that happens. If you've got 4 faces on you, how do you walk forward with all 4 faces facing forward? It has something like wings on it, and when the wings reach out, it touches 3 other beings that all look exactly the same. And then there's this wheel in the sky as well. It's actually a wheel within a wheel. It's a geometric problem. I'm sure if you could sit there and sketch that out, you could see what it would look like. But it's a wheel within a wheel, and on the wheel there are eyeballs everywhere. There's light, there's domes, there's something that sounds like rushing waters everywhere. This is a moment that causes Ezekiel to go, huh? Let me pause for a second here and take all this in. These beings that are there all represent something. So the four faces that you find on those visitors each represent something within the community. The face of a person is there to remind us that people are important to God. You've got the face of a lion there as well, to remind us that God is also there with the wild beasts. There's another face of an oxen. When we think about oxen, we think about domesticated animals, right? These were very important to the Israelite people of this time, especially as they herded things. God also sees the importance of domesticated animals. And finally, a bird, an eagle. The reason there's the face of an eagle is that God also sees the birds of the sky as important. These four things are part of this messenger that's there because these were things and these were creatures that were important to the Israelite community. Now, if you were to go another point in time and find a different group of people, they might have different things that would remind them of who God was. But there's also this light that's there, a dome over top of them, and then this weird wheel with eyes everywhere that's also always moving. This image that is here in front of us, that I would love to see your pictures of. If you were to sit down and draw that, what would that look like in your own brain? This messenger that comes before Ezekiel lets him know that God is present within their lives. And for the first time in years, God is present within a prophet within the community. When we think about angels, when we think about unidentified flying objects, when we think about things in our life that make zero sense, but somehow connect us to the divine, they look different to different people. Sometimes they look like a corn husk that's on a Christmas tree. Sometimes they look like a child. Sometimes they look like a family member who has gone on to the life eternal to remind us that everything is going to be okay. These messengers, when they show up, and they do show up, they show up to remind us that God is still at work. Within this message that was being shared with Ezekiel, God was reminding Ezekiel that even though you have no place to worship, no place to call home, I will still be with you. And you do not always need to experience me in a building that has been set aside. Now, for a lot of us, we get that. We've experienced God in a lot of different ways. We've experienced God maybe in the sunrise one day when we get up early enough to see the colors that peek through the clouds, reminding us that it is the start of something new and something amazing there in front of us. We might see it in the birth of a child, showing us that the next generation has so much promise in front of it. We see it in the ways of kindness, that when people show them to us, we know that Mr. Rogers was just not a person that was of himself, but that real kindness comes in a variety of different ways. It's through these experiences that when we see God at work and at play within us and around us, we know that God is speaking to us to show us something that we have missed recently. I wonder if God had shown up before to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel just wasn't ready for it. I wonder if God had showed up to other people within the Israelite community before that, but the people just didn't see it yet. You see, within our busy lives, it can be easy to miss the markers in life that are seeking to remind us of the good that we need to create together. We get so caught up in our own ness, our own movie, that sometimes we focus too much on ourselves rather than what's going on outside of us all. Where it feels like we are the main character in everything. And that God hasn't spoken to us in a while either. It feels like the problems in life are bigger than we could ever have imagined. And why doesn't somebody else just help me figure it out as well? I wonder if at that point in time, God had already spoken to the Israelite people before, letting them know that everything was okay, but they just missed it because they were so depressed, so beaten, so lost in themselves, that they'd lost the hope that God was still there. But for some reason on this day that is undated within the Bible, Ezekiel found himself outside looking at the sky to the north, and all heaven broke loose. Reminding Ezekiel in that moment that God was still there. Now, some of you might be of the type of people who say, well, if I can experience God outside the church, maybe I should just spend all of my time outside the church. God will be there with you every step of the way. But the part of church that draws us closest to God is a reminder that we are all in this together. It's an opportunity for people from different backgrounds, from different ways of life, different political aspects, of different fan groups. Go Phillies. To be brought together at times and in places that they never would have come to before. And that is a real gift. Even monks who we think live in solitary still have communities that they go to. Because there is something important and powerful with coming together. That's why Ezekiel, after he sees this vision, he doesn't hold on to it by himself. He doesn't just think, wow, that was a cool thing. I can't believe that just happened to me. And we never hear about it again. No, when he heard God's voice after seeing heaven break through, he went and told others, because others needed to hear this too. Others needed to hear that God was with the people, that God was with the creatures, that God is with the birds in the sky, that God is in the light, that God is in the water, and that we have not been forgotten. You see, sometimes God comes in forms that are unidentifiable, which make no sense to us at all. But other times, God comes in the face of a friend, of a loved one, of a doctor, of a child, to remind us that the light is still there, and the light will never go out. So this week, friends, I encourage you. That in the darkness of life, light still shines forth. In the uncertainty of the future, God will be there to guide you. And that in the pain of the present, God will be there to be with you, to walk with you, to heal with you, even though sometimes it might be unidentifiable, so that we can come together and share in the joy of experiencing God, and to know that hope still burns bright in each and every one of us.